All right. Okay, welcome everybody to today's LinkedIn Tuesday, where we will have Ruth Lipsky from Lee Hecht Harrison to talk about LinkedIn's tools for job seekers. So thanks again for joining us. Again, we'd like to know where you are calling us or watching from, and please enter your city in the chat window as well, and any other networking information. So let's get started. Let's see if this is going to work here. Hello. All right. Please note that this event is being recorded, and the recording may be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Comments in the Zoom chat window do not appear in the recording. So you can use the chat box to enter in your question that you have for Ruth as we go throughout the presentation. And just to give you a little bit of background about Jeff Morris, he founded Career DFW in 2008. He started CareerUSA.org in 2012 to help job seekers nationwide. He also wrote the book, What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know, and he's led the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group since 2007. He's been a member of the PIT Crew since 2017, which is the practice interview team. As for me, I'm also a job seeker. I'm volunteering while Jeff is recovering, and I'm looking for account director positions at Marketing Research Company. We have 4 rotating LinkedIn professionals who come on and speak with us on Tuesdays. We have Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, and Kurt Vandemotter. And as a reminder, you can join careerdfw.org and careerusa.org each week. As you know, there are several different events that are listed on the careerdfw.org calendar. Today, we have our LinkedIn Tuesday. On Wednesdays, we have the PIT Crew. And then on Fridays, we have the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. For Wednesdays, the first, second, third, and fifth Wednesdays of the month are in person at the Christ United Methodist Church in Plano, Texas. On the fourth Wednesday, it is via Zoom. So for any of us who are located outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we can attend those sessions. And with that, you will actually see somebody who is preparing who will interview with a panel of people, and then they will provide feedback to that interviewer so that they can be prepared for their interview. So it's really great. You guys should definitely try to attend a Zoom call if you can, or if you're in the area, attend one in person. It's really helpful for all the job seekers. On Friday, we have the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, and currently Walt Glass and Matt Keelan are co-hosting that. And surprise, we actually have Jeff Morris who will be presenting on Friday. He will be presenting, doing LinkedIn, Present Yourself Like a Pro, and we look forward to seeing him there as a guest on Friday. So hopefully you can join us. Also, don't forget that we have LinkedIn groups for careerusa.org and careerdfw.org. With Career DFW, we have over 15,000 members, and we also have several members in careerusa.org. Also, we have the recordings on YouTube. It's under careerusa.org. You can click on playlist and then click on view full playlist, and then you will see a playlist like this. And it'll show you all the different recordings that you can watch from previous LinkedIn Tuesday sessions that we've had. We do not record Terry Sullivan's sessions, so you will not see those on the YouTube channel. If you aren't receiving emails about our workshops, you can join the Career USA mailing list. You can scan this QR code, or you can send an email to Career USA subscribe@groups.io. Please note that Career DFW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. We survive on donations. Please consider making a donation when you get your next job. And if your new company makes matching donations, we are registered. If you do not see us listed, let us know who they use. So today we will have Ruth Lipsky talk about LinkedIn's tools for job seekers. Ruth is a career consultant with Lee Hecht Harrison, and she specializes in the enhancements that LinkedIn rolls out, particularly the improvements that job seekers can use. So with that, I will turn it over to Ruth.
All right. Thank you so much for that introduction. We're going to be talking about LinkedIn and the tools that they have for simply for the job seekers. And it's an important thing to recognize that LinkedIn is trying to help the people who are utilizing LinkedIn and is going to be rewarding the people who are using LinkedIn the most by bringing them more to the attention of recruiters. The first thing we need to decide is, what are recruiters looking at? How are they utilizing the information that LinkedIn gives them? And what exactly is LinkedIn providing to them when they're doing a search? This is a slide from a LinkedIn recruiter search. In this case, they are looking for a project manager in the greater Chicago area. Two skills are needed: business strategy and analytics. Utilizing this as the base search, this person will receive 42,798 possible candidates that would fit that type of a search. LinkedIn has provided some spotlight features in order to narrow down and make it easier to find the people who are probably a better fit out of those 42, nearly 43,000. And these are the spotlight features: open to work. Are you connected to somebody in the company? Have you expressed an interest in the company? And are you part of the active talent? Are you part of a group of people who are continually updating their LinkedIn profile and utilizing LinkedIn? So, when that all takes place and the recruiter utilizes the spotlight features that are most important to them, it brings it down to a fairly small list of people. And in this case, they've decided that there are 83 that they're going to look at more seriously. LinkedIn never does anything randomly. The people who are appearing on this list are there because LinkedIn feels they are the best choices. So if you showed all 42,798 candidates, Emily Dalton would be the first person on that list, Channing Curry the second, Aubrey Mackey the third, because LinkedIn is rewarding them for the completeness of their profile, the activity that they've used, and the ability that they've had to connect with the people in this company. So, as a result of that, this is what our agenda is going to be. We're going to talk about the top part of the LinkedIn profile because that's the part that you have to draw the recruiter in before they're going to scroll down and see anything. We're going to talk about the skills, where you need to have them, how you need to set them up, and we'll go through all of the spotlight features so you've got a better feel for what they're looking for and why it's important for you to be able to react to them.
Ruth, we have a question already on your previous two slides where you mentioned company connections. Can you explain what you mean by that?
That means that if this person who is doing the recruiting look, if the recruiter is Capital One, are you connected to somebody within the Capital One family? Uh, and that's going to reward you for the recruiter because it's assumed that if you're connected to somebody within their company, you'll know a little bit more about the company, its criteria, its new products, its culture. So having a connection within that company is going to be an area that's rewarded.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So if you noticed that there's very little information that is given to the recruiter when they are providing the people who are probably a good search, a good reaction to this. But if you notice that although they're giving you the name and the picture and the headline, that's about all the information. Maybe the current job title, the past job title, but LinkedIn is not providing the recruiters much information at all. The only thing that you have to be able to talk to the recruiter and to make the recruiter more interested in you is to be able to take a look at the headline area for each one of these people. That's your opportunity to look at the recruiter, to describe to the recruiter what you do. So let's take a look at some headline areas that you can have that might make the recruiter more interested in you. If you are somebody who is in the development role, the most important skills that you have are the ones that are going to be associated with your next job. So being able to say, here's the title I have, here are the skills that I have that are of a technical nature, because that's going to get the attention of the recruiter. If you have a job title that is broader, like a project manager or a program manager, it's good to indicate what the focus is, what the specialization is, because those are titles that are overused in the corporate world. Being able to narrow it down a little bit so that people know what you can do and what value you bring is going to be important. If you are in a more technical role, like an accounting role, being able to indicate where you fit in the organization and what you can do is going to be important. And the higher level you are in an organization, probably the more broad your title, your value needs to be. So in these last two, being able to say that you're in a higher level position and you're creating value for business through effective marketing strategies. Customer relations director, helping the world become more customer centric. So, depending on what role you're looking for and depending on what your experience is, you can either put in specific skills, you can put in an area of specialization or where you're focused, or you can have a higher level, more uh, more strategic headline. But you have 220 characters here. Talk to the recruiter. Let the recruiter know what you can do. Now, LinkedIn has added something new. It's a verification, and it's the shield with a check mark in it that is next to your name. It has been added because there are too many profiles on LinkedIn that are not real. They're either scams, they are either artificial intelligence, they are people who are not necessarily doing the things that LinkedIn wants them to be doing. So there are three different types of verification that you can have. One is the identity, in which you have to show a government issued ID. One is a workplace where your corporation or the people who you work for are indicating that you're actually working there, or it can be an educational institution. And the educational institution is for both the people who are in class as students, but it can also be people who are teaching. So the way that that's going to be looking is that in this top portion here, you're going to check verifications. And when you're looking at the verifications, I did two of them. One of them was with a government ID, and the other one was that LHH verified that I do work for them. You can do this verification online if you are looking for the workplace or if you're looking for education. But if you're looking to use a government issued ID, which is probably where most of us are going to be looking, you can only do that utilizing your phone because they're going to take a scan of your face. They're going to do facial recognition and they want to see a live driver's license, passport, whatever you're going to be using. You can't use pictures. It looks as if you could get a verification for identity on your computer. However, you will get to a certain point, it will start just rotating for you and it's not going to let you complete it. So um, try it, but try it on your phone. The, and if you do have questions on, is this recruiter who is approaching me for a job a real person? This sounds too good to be true. Why are they looking at me? Take a look and make sure that they have a verification there. The people who are doing the scams are having a lot harder time indicating that they are real people since they can't be verified.
That's a great tip, Ruth. Thank you. I think there are quite a few job scams and job recruiters out there, so everybody needs to remain vigilant.
There you go. One of the things that we recommend is putting an end date for the job that you had. It's an honest way of saying that you're no longer employed in the company, you're looking for something new. You generally show this after about 2 months, but it's good to be able to put in an explanation of what you're doing during the time that you're not employed. And you've got two choices on this. One of them is to use LinkedIn's career break. And in the career break that LinkedIn provides you, it allows you to go in as you are adding a profile section. You are going to add a career break. And when you click on career break, the drop down is going to provide you with opportunities to say why you are no longer working. This is a nice feature. It provides that information after you've been laid off, after you're no longer working. What are you doing? Why were you laid off? The problem with the career break is it still is treated on LinkedIn as if you are not employed. And if you're not employed, you can't be an all-star. And an all-star is one of the features that LinkedIn does reward. So instead of utilizing the career break, and you can if you want, the other option is to be able to put in a new job and you create a new experience and you put in whatever title that you're going to be looking for, maybe several titles. You can, for a company, you can put in either self-employed, looking for new opportunities, consultant. It's going to be something that is not being utilized right now for a company. And then you can use the information in the description area to put in additional skills. The more times you put in skills, the more times you put in experiences, the more times you talk about what you can do, the more LinkedIn is going to reward you. LinkedIn wants you to be putting in information everywhere you possibly can. So, end date, probably around 2 months. You can either add a career break after that, or you can add in an experience, which is going to be a placeholder that says, this is what I want my next job to be, and this is why I'm qualified for that.
Ruth, you mentioned about the all-stars or being an all-star person on LinkedIn. Would you be able to show us once you get to LinkedIn where we would see that status or how we would know that we're considered an all-star?
Yep. Uh, let's take a look at that now. LinkedIn is going to be asking us in this section, there's going to be a section right about there that is going to say if you're an all-star or not. And it will have a grid that says, here are the 7 steps to becoming an all-star. If you are an all-star, it disappears. So it's not on mine because I'm an all-star. If you are
Ah,
not an all-star, this is where you're going to see it, and it will indicate which areas you have yet to complete in order to be an all-star.
so
So the
everybody will
things
want to try to be an all-star as much as possible.
as much as possible. And the things that are part of that, you're going to need to have a picture. You're going to need to have an about section that contains a minimum of 40 words. You have to have an active job. You have to have at least 5 skills in your skill section here. And you have to have a location, I think is the other one.
Okay.
So if you are not an all-star, LinkedIn is going to tell you right at the top of your profile page and just follow their directions and add in the information.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Now, one of the features of a job search is that LinkedIn is going to give more credibility to people who have the exact job title or something that is very, very close to the job title that that recruiter is looking for. Recommendation is to expand the titles that you have in experience. The first title should still be the title that your company gave you. But if you need to translate your title to something else that is used in the community or is a more common usage of that, you can put a pipe, which means or, and then put in another title. So the title that the company gives you doesn't always indicate what you did in that company. And it's important to be able to let recruiters know what your role actually was. So here I'm simply translating it. This is the job title that LHH gives me, but a lot of the rest of the industry calls it this. In this role, though, Senior Manager of Training and Development, that has a certain set of skills and standards that I had, but the focus that I had with the 12 people who worked for me was to move the training information from on site classroom training into an e learning uh, atmosphere. So, although this was my title, I probably could have had this title, instructional designer or e-learning developer, as a title. So putting in alternate titles to say, this is what the company gave me as a title, but this is the title that better reflects my job responsibilities and what I did. And anything that is in the title area has a very high score for the LinkedIn algorithm. Now let's take a look at skills because LinkedIn is going to reward you for having the skills that the recruiter is looking for. They are going to give you a lot of opportunities to put skills in your profile, but let's take a look at how we're going to find that. And one of them is that LinkedIn has created a separate page that is going to be providing you with the skills that they think are going to be important. This is going to be a separate page and is not going to be associated with what you think of as your LinkedIn pages and profiles. It's going to be LinkedIn GitHub, Career Explorer. And what it does is that it says if you are in a city, here is a job, and let's say that it is a project manager role, and it's going to be, let's make it an IT project manager. LinkedIn gives you the skills that are normally associated with this type of title. This is enormously beneficial because you have in your background hundreds and hundreds of skills. You're trying to identify the ones that are going to be most appropriate for the type of role that you're looking for next. This gives you the skills that LinkedIn is going to reward you for having, and it's going to be in the order of most importance. So the most important thing for an IT project manager is probably going to be Scrum and the general title of IT project management. Least important, requirements gathering, it's still important, but it's not as important as some of the ones at the top. So being able to utilize this as a page in order to find the highly needed skills and the ones that are going to be rewarded is going to be an important part. Also on this page, though, is it says, do you want to look for a similar job? And it allows you to say, do I want something that is close to the skills that I have? Do I want something that's more popular? Let's take a look. If I am an IT project manager, what's the most popular job for me to go to? And here it says just a plain project manager. 53% of the skills are going to be the same. So 53% of the skills that we've got over here are also needed for a project manager role. And it tells you which skills they are and which skills to build in order to more easily move into that new role. This is this is not necessarily a good example when we're talking about project management because I'm sure that you would probably assume that those would be similar types of jobs to move into. But if you're looking for something that truly is different, being able to use this and see if there's some titles, some jobs that might be utilizing the skills you've already developed and find a new title that is going to allow you to use most of those skills. And Patty, were you able to put that
Yes,
URL
I
into the
did.
chat?
And there are a couple of other questions that have come in. So basically going back, how long should your job description be in previous positions?
The job description
Or I
in
should
the,
say the experience, right? So in your experience section
so how much should be
in your previous roles.
as much as you think is useful for moving into your next job. I would take out things that you don't ever want to do again. Because as the search is looking at your profile, they're going to be looking at every one of the skills you have. And if you have a skill that you used 10 years ago and you never want to use it again, make sure that's gone. Unless
Okay.
it's something that is built into the progression that you expect to see. But otherwise, you're going to be getting some offers from recruiters saying, do you want to use that Fortran experience that you had 20 years ago? We've got a legacy system.
Mhm.
And if you don't want to do that ever, ever, ever again, get it out. But the more information you have on LinkedIn, the easier it is for recruiters to find you.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Another question was, can you tell LinkedIn that you are searching for work even if you are working already?
Yes. And that's going to be this open to work area. And in my case, I don't have the banner, the hashtag open to work. But you can tell LinkedIn up to 5 different titles that you're looking for. If you want to be on site, if you prefer hybrid, if you're willing to work remote, location, if it's going to be on site, make sure that you have a metropolitan area that you're willing to work in. If you're willing to work remote, normally a country is a better match for you. Start date, if you're already working, but you are interested in changing jobs, go ahead and put in immediately. Recruiters are going to be more interested in people who are willing to start the interview process immediately. Employment types, maybe you want to try contract work. If you want to stay just in full time, indicate that. In this case, I have only recruiters can see this information. So if a recruiter is using the LinkedIn recruiter software, they'll be able to see that I'm interested in finding a new job. LinkedIn tells us that it is suppressing this information from recruiters in the company that you're currently working at. So if a recruiter from your company is looking for your job title, you should not come up in their search. Not sure how much I trust that, but LinkedIn is saying that that's the way they're working. It's harder if you are in a very large group that has um, more than one company name associated with it.
Yeah.
If you have this all LinkedIn members, that means the recruiters who are using LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn recruiter will be able to see your information, just like here, but it also allows you to be seen by recruiters who are not using the LinkedIn recruiter software, which is about half the recruiters out there on LinkedIn. So being able to put in this banner does give you twice the visibility as recruiters only. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit.
Yeah. Two other quick questions. How frequently should I update my profile to stay relevant without overwhelming my network with the changes? I think you can opt to not let your network know, right?
Yes, one of the first things you might want to do is to go into the settings and privacy. And in the settings and privacy, it allows you to work on to change your account preferences, your security, but visibility is where you want to take a look immediately. Because what LinkedIn allows you to do is, do you want to share job changes, education changes? Do you want to share any changes at all with the people who are in your network? Turn that off. You don't need to be spamming people. You need to be changing LinkedIn quite a bit. You generally should be on LinkedIn at least 3 days a week and hitting the enter button at least 5 times each one of those days. That's not hard to do if you're doing a job search.
Yeah. All right. And then there were two other questions regarding the Career Explorer. One was, can you give an example of how to discern between IT project manager versus non-IT project manager?
Sure. Let's go there. So instead of having IT project manager, we're going to take that out and say, looking for a project manager role, and it does allow you to just take a project manager as opposed to one that is associated with a different part of the company. And in a project manager role, it's going to be asking for this type. And it looks like it's more in the construction side.
Yeah, it does. Because I've done project management, but not contractors and things.
So you may want to take a look at all of the project manager information through here and see if there is a title that more closely fits what department you were in or how you. Okay, this might be a little bit better.
Yeah, that is better. That's more in line with what I think of project management versus the one with construction.
I agree.
All right. Going back to the skills section on the LinkedIn profile, after you research skills, is it important to now map them to all of your jobs? How important is ranking my skills versus having a lot of them that are relevant?
The reason that LinkedIn added in put a skill associated with your job is for the technical skills. Recruiters were having a problem finding people who had the technical expertise, let's say to do SQL, and they've got SQL as a skill, and they've got it in their about section, and they talk about it in their experience section, but maybe not quite as much. If a recruiter is looking for somebody who does have SQL experience or C++ experience, they want to know that they used it in their last job. They don't want somebody who used it 2 jobs ago or 5 years ago. So the real need for this is, do you have updated technical skills? And if you're using something like artificial intelligence, that has to be mapped to your most recent job, or else people will think that it is not as up to date and is not as useful. And they will always give priority to the technical skills in your most recent job. The other skills that you might have that are more of the soft skills, like communication, you can map. There's no limit to the number that you have there. It's not something that is particularly useful to recruiters, uh, but the technical part is. The top part here is going to be limited to 5, so that you've got a limit there where you're looking for the best of the best. But as far as putting them in your experience section, I probably wouldn't put more than 20 because you're diluting it down considerably when you put that many.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is when I've received job alerts, it says you've matched 7 out of 10 skills. We think that you would be a good fit for this. And initially, when I wasn't seeing as much and I was looking through it, I thought that they were taking from the skills at the very bottom of the page. But instead, what it appears the job alerts are doing is that it's taking it from what's within your experience. So you have to make sure that within your experience, you're typing in the skills and not just having a skills section at the bottom.
And they're also looking at it in the about section.
Hmm.
So if you have it in the about section and you've got it in your experience section and you put it in your skill section, that gives you 3 times that you're indicating that you have a skill. LinkedIn assumes that you've got a higher level of competency the more often you repeat a skill.
Great, thank you.
That catches up?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about the spotlight features. The number one spotlight feature that is used by recruiters in the LinkedIn recruiter software is that hashtag open to work. But there's a lot of concern about that. People sometimes look at that hashtag open to work as a sign of desperation. So some recruiters, some hiring managers are going to look negatively at that. There's also the concern that it could indicate that there's more spam that is going to be coming to you and that you might be targeted a bit more for uh, more of the unscrupulous side. And there's also the concern that there could be some reputation damage because 15, 20 years ago, the people who were laid off quite often were the poorer performers rather than we're taking this whole area and getting rid of it. And we have some amazingly talented people who have to leave, but that's just the way life is. So some people are going to be looking at it as a negative. However, on the positive side, it does increase your visibility, and LinkedIn is telling us that you will get 40% more information from recruiters, that you will get more messages from that because you're indicating an openness to find that new job, to network with other people, so that the networking opportunities are going to be much greater because people are going to see that you're open to that and that you've got more control over what types of jobs you're going to be looking for because you've added those additional 5 jobs into the open to work area. Which way should you go on it? Well, that's kind of a good question for ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT to review 500 articles that were written in 2023 and 2024 by recruiters or by LinkedIn experts that talked about the hashtag open to work, and asked ChatGPT to identify of those 500 articles how many supported utilizing the public hashtag open to work and how many did not. The result was that recent articles are showing a strong preference to use it, although there are still 30% of the expert population who say that it is not necessarily a good thing to do. What's interesting is that when I changed the dates to 2021 and 2022, the result was 60% recommended it and 40% advised against it. So the attitude is shifting so that it is more uh, open, it is more used, it is more useful. But the bottom line on everything on LinkedIn is that you're never going to please everybody. There are going to be some people who are going to dislike what you wrote, some people who are going to be charmed by what you wrote. So don't try and write something that is not you. Be honest. Make sure that you're putting things in that are real and genuine. Your choice as to whether to use the open to work or the not open to work is yours. I think they're more positives than negatives. But if you feel that there is going to be any problem with desperation, spam, or reputation damage, you might want to hold off a bit and see how your search goes and see if that's something that you can do without it.
Yeah, there was a question about this. What about toggling back and forth from the hashtag open to work to a position description or career break and back?
It's important to be able to change things frequently on LinkedIn. So if you wanted to try the hashtag open to work for 3 weeks and see if that generates more opportunities for you, do it. Then take it off if you want and make it just a private search. Same thing with any other part of LinkedIn. What you're going to be watching for whenever you make a change on LinkedIn is that you're going to be watching for the analytics side. And on the analytics, you're going to be looking at, does this change the number of people who have viewed my profile? Does it change the number of search appearances? And if you see that having that hashtag open to work in a publicly visible side increases these numbers here, then you want to leave it on because it gives you more opportunity for interviews, for recruiters reaching out to you. If you don't see that there's any change or you start going down, then it could be that you are in a job, in a industry, in a niche market that does not support that as well, and you want to keep it off. So the
Yeah.
analytics here are your only way of telling whether you're being found and whether you've got a successful, optimized LinkedIn profile. Watch over them.
Yeah, a couple of points that I wanted to ask you about or bring up with that is also regarding that open to work banner. How often should we turn it on and turn it off to make sure it's fresh and relevant for the recruiters?
That hashtag open to work does age, and you need to turn it off and then immediately turn it back on again every 2 months. LinkedIn assumes that when you first put that out, that you are open to work, that you are moving, you're open, you're willing to start talking. But the longer it's on, the more LinkedIn feels that you've probably got a job or you've just forgotten about it and it's not really as meaningful anymore. So every 2 months, absolutely turn it off, turn it back on.
And is there something about if you are a certain like VP or higher level that you shouldn't have it on if you're looking versus a mid-level job or anything like that?
It's mixed, and there's a lot of information out there about that. A lot of times, the executive folks are less likely to put that hashtag open to work because they're doing their networking in a format that is with their contacts, with the people that they know, and they're concerned that there could be a reputation damage to the company if it was broadcast that they were no longer working there. So
Hmm.
depending on what kind of non-disclosure executives have, it may be that they don't want to have the hashtag open to work on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No other questions at this time.
All right. Let's take a look then at some of the spotlight features. And the next one is mutual interest. You need to let companies know that you're interested in them. And there are four ways that you can tell a company that you're interested in them. One is that you're going to follow the company. You can set up job alerts. You can click on the interest button and you can connect to employees. So let's go and watch how that happens because it's easier to do it. Can somebody give me the name of a company that they'd be interested in joining?
You can type it in or say it.
Caterpillar.
Caterpillar.
How do you spell it?
Caterpillar.
There they
Yeah,
go.
there it
Okay.
is.
Uh, there will always be a company, and you'll be able to see that they've got the logo next to it. And that will take you to, click right here, to the LinkedIn page for the company. This is separate from the page the company will have in a broader sense out on the internet. It is simply within LinkedIn. The first thing you'll want to do is follow the company because that means you're interested in the information that Caterpillar is passing out to the public. And it's giving them permission to put information on your homepage about new products, new activities, what they're doing for some special events that might be coming up. But this just says, I'm interested in the company. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to go into the About section for the company and you're going to scroll down and there's going to be something that says, are you interested in working with us in the future? Quite often this means I'd like to work for you, but I don't see a job out there quite yet that is interesting to me or that fits my skills. Click on I'm interested, and you're now talking to the recruiter by saying, keep me in mind. And LinkedIn is going to add this to the strength of your profile when a recruiter does a job search for the type of role that you're looking for. The fact that you're interested in the company makes the recruiter more interested in you. The next thing you do, the third thing, is going to be in their jobs tab. And in the Jobs tab, you're not going to look for jobs because the company page outside of LinkedIn is going to have a more complete set of jobs. But you can set up a job alert here. And when you create a job alert, you're going to say, I have an interest in a project manager job, possibly. And it gives you all of the possible versions of project manager that LinkedIn has. This is a format. You always use a LinkedIn standardized title because that's the way the recruiters are conducting their search. So if you wanted to say project manager, put in a location, create a job alert. What that does is that when Caterpillar posts a job for a project manager, for an IT project manager, whatever title you have here, LinkedIn is going to pull everybody's name who has indicated an interest in the company for that type of role, and they're going to push them back to the recruiter at Caterpillar and say, you posted this job. Here are the profiles of 10 people who are interested, have created a job alert, and match the skills that you're looking for. You might want to start here. Very powerful way of getting the attention of the recruiter because you're being very specific about what you want. LinkedIn only allows you to have 20 job alerts. Some of them you're going to want to use on the job tab when you're looking for jobs in general. So no more than one per targeted company. You want to be able to spread those out a bit.
Yeah,
So
the other comment was I've noticed some company pages uh, do not have the I'm interested button and others do not. So it's not like everywhere that you'll see this.
that is true. When you're in this about section, you may not have this interested in working with us in the future. Most companies have it now, but I'm surprised at some of the companies that do not have it. I was glad the Caterpillar did because it makes it easier. So 4 ways to connect to a company. Follow them, go to the about section and say, I'm interested. Go to the job section and create a job alert. And the fourth one is go into the people side. When we talked at the beginning and we said that one of the features that was most important for a recruiter is company connections, this is where you're going to connect with a company. And LinkedIn tells us now that within Caterpillar, there are 54,493 employees who have a LinkedIn profile. And here's the information you might want to know about them. Let me open it up. Here's where they live. Here's where they studied, what they do. This is the department that they work in. What they're skilled at and what they studied may not be terribly important. But look at this. It tells you if you're connected already to somebody in the company. So if you are connected to somebody in the company, excellent. You can send them a message and say, I just applied for this role. Do you know who the hiring manager is? Do you know who the recruiter is? Would you be willing to let me use your name as a recommendation? I understand you'll get a bonus if I get hired. So being able to utilize that first degree connection, you'll be able to find it right here. If you have only second degree connections, then you may want to have a message to them that says, I see we have people in common in our LinkedIn networks. I'm interested in networking with people who also have similar backgrounds to mine, would love to connect. Or I see we have people in common in our network. I have applied for roles within Caterpillar because of my background in blank, blank, blank. How do you like working there? Let's connect. Now, when you want to connect with someone, you never use the white connect button on a laptop or a computer because that sends an automatic message of, I want to be part of your LinkedIn network. Instead, you're going to go into their profile itself and find the blue connect button. The blue connect button will always allow you to personalize a message up to 300 characters. And there's a limit to the number that you're able to do, but being able to find the people by sorting through, looking for those that are, let's go back, looking for those who are in the United States. And I'm looking for people who are in the marketing department. Okay, you still have a lot of people to go through, but being able to utilize more of the filters that LinkedIn is providing you can sometimes bring it down into a smaller group of people who are going to be more beneficial to you. When in doubt, search for recruiters, because recruiters are probably the most comfortable group of people who are um, using LinkedIn. So here we've got some people, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to scroll through and see, does anybody have the hashtag hiring? Because that's a purple banner that recruiters use when they're going to be looking for people. When we're looking for recruiters, LinkedIn is going to give us everybody who is currently a recruiter and everybody who has ever been a recruiter. So you're going to have to go through and sort through which people still are in the recruiting field before you start contacting them. Now, since LinkedIn is telling us now that we have a limit to the number of people that we can send connection requests to, you may want to join a group. And by joining a group, it gives you unlimited connection requests for that. And when you're in a group, let's just say that you're a project manager. And LinkedIn is saying, are you interested in project manager jobs? Are you looking at posts from project managers? Or are you looking for groups? Let's go for groups. LinkedIn has an enormous number of groups, and the last number I saw was that 94% of them were inactive, that there are just no activity, there are no posts, nobody's asking to join them. So that when you do join a group of people, you make sure that they have, that one doesn't have it, that it has this green active group. And when you request to join, there is always going to be a gatekeeper that is going to take a look at your profile and make sure that you are eligible to be part of that group. Once you're part of that group, and in this case, we've got over 600,000 people, then you can start sorting out and finding the people who are in the groups, that are in the companies, that are in the industries that you're most interested in, and start connecting that way.
Question, regarding the job alerts, is there a place to see your job alerts so that you can call or manage them?
Yes, that's going to be in the Jobs tab for all of them, no matter what site you've got. And in the Jobs tab, you're going to see this Preferences area. Click on the Preferences, and it'll show you all the job alerts that you have. And from that, you can use the Edit button next to it, and you can delete the job alert. You can't edit it on this page. You can only delete it.
Great. And then when you're connecting with people, I think you use some different verbiage. Somebody asked, what about, I think we have complementary interests, something of that nature.
Perfect. Anything that is going to be able to tell them that they have something in common with you. Let's go back here. And one of the things that you can also do is you can use your school to connect with people too. So if you went to, well,
Illinois State.
okay, there are 945 people who work at Caterpillar who attended Illinois State. Now you can narrow it down a little bit more, but here they all are. And this time, your connection request is going to be, I see you also attended Illinois State. I enjoyed my time there. I've applied for roles within Caterpillar. How do you like working there? Let's connect. But having some reason to connect with someone is going to be an important part of the message to allow them to say, yes, I'll let you join.
Yeah, it's important to have that affinity point. Here is a question. It says a very specific question regarding profile search appearances. It used to tell you what roles you were appearing up for. It disappeared for me recently. It used to say you appeared most for job title 1, 2, 3. How accurate does this reflect to what the recruiter sees on their end with respect to job titles? And how can I get that job title insight back?
LinkedIn has changed and is continuing to change what information it gives recruiters and what information it gives the rest of the world. They felt that that was not a valuable thing to be able to see, which kind of surprises me, but it doesn't exist anymore.
Unless we all kind of write in a letter to them saying, we want this feature back.
Give it back. Yes. And give me back more ability to connect messages.
Yeah, right. It's limited to, is it 5 a month for free? I think something like that, 5 or 10. It's
It's
very limited.
ridiculous. Yes.
5. Yeah. I knew that they had limited that. But speaking about that, you can connect with people for free through groups.
Right.
So if you're in a common group with somebody, then you can connect without having to, you know, burn a customized message.
There you go. So showing interest in your company, what is going to help you in the algorithm for the recruiters is you're going to follow the company, set up that job alert, indicate that you're interested if they have that in their about section, and then find employees to connect to so that you can see that there is a ability to understand the company better. Increasing your visibility, being active is huge. As I said, need to be on LinkedIn at least 3 times a week. You need to be able to click that uh, enter button at least 5 times each time you're out there as you're doing research. Now, if a recruiter does send a note to you through the message portion of LinkedIn, you absolutely need to respond to the recruiter because LinkedIn keeps track of how many times you reply to a recruiter. So if a recruiter reaches out and says, we have this role open, are you interested? You absolutely have to say, no, I'm more interested in this type of role, or you say yes. But every time a recruiter reaches you through your message, reply to them. If it is a salesperson or if somebody's trying to get you to go back into their schooling, you can ignore them, but don't ignore a recruiter.
Or spam recruiters, I guess that's a little bit harder. We have to kind of figure that out.
There you go. Keep updating your LinkedIn profile. As you're finding more skills that are needed, as you're seeing more people's profiles and you think that's a nice thing to add, I like the way that looks, add it into your profile. Always update your profile. Keep that a very active, living document. If you want to share your resume with recruiters, I'm not wild about this because I think recruiters need to look at your full profile rather than just picking up one of your resumes to run through their applicant tracking system. But LinkedIn is asking us to do this more. And catch this, if you are in a company that had a recent layoff, LinkedIn is going to be prioritizing you and bringing you toward the top of a recruiter search.
Ruth, going back to the recruiter messages, someone asked, should I go back to very old recruiter messages and apply or reply or just going forward, I should do this?
Uh, you're allowed up to 6 weeks. So I
Mm.
would go back 6 weeks and take a look at anything that might have come in, but anything older than 6 weeks, and it's probably burned into the algorithm at this point.
And says, how does LinkedIn know if I was recently laid off?
They're not telling us, but we're assuming that they have a department that is dealing with um, layoffs in all different sizes of companies because it seems to be working for both the big companies where it hits the news media, but it also seems to be working on some of the smaller companies. So I don't know if the companies are indicating to LinkedIn that they need to be part of that list or if LinkedIn is reaching out from the other side. Haven't figured that
And
one out yet, but it's a good question.
going back to the recruiter, what is a reasonable response to a recruiter who wants to chat or get a resume but are not offering you many details?
You can always ask for more information and uh, see if you can find. There are a lot of hidden searches going on where they're going to be looking for a certain set of talents without having to post those jobs out there. Um, but if it's a legitimate recruiter, it's worth sending a resume with a statement of this is for a set of skills associated with this type of role. If there is more to the job that you're looking at, I'd be happy to include additional skills and experiences that I've had.
And then how long should I turn off the open to work for recruiters only so it gets flagged as actively searching? Or does this apply only to the hashtag open to work in actual postings?
Say that again. I'm not sure I caught that.
How long should I turn off the open to work for recruiters only so it gets flagged as actively searching? Or does this apply only to hashtag open to work in actual postings?
Okay, on the hashtag open to work, if you think that it is aged and you need to reset it, turn it off 5 seconds, turn it back on again. If you want to test out whether the hashtag open to work is working for you, I would leave it on for 2 weeks and see if the um, information that you have is increasing and if you're getting more attention on the job searches. And then
Yep.
try turning it off for 2 weeks and see if that changes things.
Yep. It's always easy, right? You just turn it on, turn it off, see what's working. Unfortunately, there's no right magical tool like to tell you this is the time frame, this is what you should do, and that's how it works, right?
And here are just some statistics of interest. We talk a lot about the LinkedIn algorithm and how they try and set things up and how to best use your LinkedIn profile in order to be found on LinkedIn. But the human eye has a huge impact on whether you're found, whether you're chosen. And here's some information about how to make people more interested in you. And these numbers come from LinkedIn. Any questions? You've had some great questions.
None right now in the chat, but we'll probably get a couple more before we end.
This is it.
Oh, this is it. This is the last page. All right.
So I'll go back to
Any
that because that's a fun
questions
one.
from anybody? Any other questions that we didn't answer for you?
I have a question regarding the comment on, kind of where you showed the project manager and the skills. How did you get to that section when you're in your
It's the GitHub.
profile?
It's a different page altogether from what
Yeah.
you're used to using. So this is,
I put it in the chat again for you, Miguel.
Okay,
so
thank you.
this is your normal page that you're working on and you're using the tabs that are used up here. LinkedIn also has some independent pages that talk about the future of work, different posts,
Okay,
things that are coming up that are new. And that's that section up here
okay,
that Patty gave you.
okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you.
You
Thank you.
bet.
Thank you both.
Question, is the premium features to enhance my job search worth the investment?
Wow. It could be. LinkedIn does use that to provide you with more information when you're looking at a job. So it might be easier to find the skills. It might be easier to identify the jobs that are most useful. And when you're doing a job search, it does give you the opportunity to say, show me the jobs where I'm a top applicant, in which case it's a good fit for what I have so far in my profile.
Yeah.
It also gives you more information about a company. But if you wanted to use, say, a site like D&B Hoovers, Dun& Bradstreet Hoovers has the same type information that LinkedIn is going to give you. That's also a subscription area, but if you go to your local library, your library subscribes to all of those things. So if you wanted to use something like D&B Hoovers, LinkedIn Learning, which comes with a premium, is also available in your library. It has gotten more expensive. I'm not sure that it's worth it, but if you wanted to use it for a month free, which is what they give you, unless you were in a military and then you get 1 year free, you can try it, but make sure you know exactly what features are available to you through premium and see if that gives you a better search or better results.
So there were a couple other questions that came in. Where do you input the skills on LinkedIn from GitHub?
If you have these as skills that you want to add, then you can put them in your headline area. You can put them in your about area. You can add them into your experience section. Anytime, it doesn't matter where they are on your profile. You just need to have them in your profile someplace. And if it's considered to be an essential skill, you probably want to have that more than once. So it doesn't necessarily need to be just in the skills section, because when LinkedIn is doing a search and is looking for somebody with skills, and let's say that say it's a skill in curriculum development. I added this in, but I don't have any endorsements on it. LinkedIn is not going to see that as a skill. When LinkedIn does a search for skills that you have in your profile, it can only see the ones that have somebody's endorsement associated with them. So if you've added 100 skills, but nobody's endorsed you for them, then you have no skills. So it's best to go out to your network and say, I am increasing the strength of my profile. I've added these 5 skills. Would you be comfortable endorsing me for those skills since we've worked together on those? And please let me know what skills you'd like me to endorse you on.
Now, here's another question. Do you mind touching on showing us how to change the banner via Canva?
If you wanted to be changing the banner, if you don't have a banner yet, then you're going to have a camera over here. As soon as you put something in here, it changes to an edit pencil. If you're going to be utilizing, let's take a look here. Going to change the photo. LinkedIn gives you some banners that are the flavor of the month. Don't use any of these. They are overused. They are not interesting enough. They don't talk about you as a personality. But you can upload a photo from your photo file. So on the device that you're in, you can go in and take a look at the photographs that you have, find one that is appropriately showing your skills, your background, your industry, or maybe a quote, and upload that into it. You can get those either by going into Canva, or you can go into, let's say, Google Images and say, I'm looking for LinkedIn backgrounds. And Google Images is going to give you thousands of pictures, and it will allow you to have the filters that are associated more with what your industry might be, so that you can find any of these, right click on them, save the image into your picture folder. You can do the same thing for Canva. Canva is a design feature so that you can create your own background, your own features, your own words that are associated with it. Make sure it's saved into your picture folder and you'll be able to upload it from there.
And I know that Terry Sullivan covers this a bit in his presentation when he speaks with us. But definitely the one thing to keep in mind is you make sure that you do not use a copyrighted photo. They will come after you, as he has mentioned in his presentations. So make sure that you don't use one that's copyrighted. Going back to the endorse or skills, what is the minimum number, or what are the minimum number of endorsements required for each skill for it to be recognized by LinkedIn? Or do you only need to have that one?
You only need one. You only need
Wow.
one.
All right. Low
Now,
threshold.
now, now, the more endorsements you have, the higher LinkedIn feels your expertise is. So if you had 99, which is the most that it will show, then that indicates that you probably got either a very high expertise level or you have a very highly active social group.
Mhm.
But one is all you need in order to show up.
And then regarding those skills endorsements where others in your network are perhaps giving you those endorsements, how much do you think that weighs in on a recruiter or hiring manager wanting to, look at you? Or because some people who are endorsing me, for example, for some of these, I don't know them very well. They don't know my work from when I worked. So it's kind of one of those things where I wonder, is this going to just help with the algorithm? Is it really helpful for people to endorse me when it's not? There are different job search groups saying, hey, everybody, go out and endorse everybody for your top 10 skills, and wanted to get your perspective on that.
LinkedIn doesn't real, but when you endorse someone, it's going to ask, what is your relationship to the person? So there's going to be some judgment on LinkedIn's part as to how well suited you are to actually make an endorsement. In general, though, it's probably not going to be enough to cause any concern. Get at least one endorsement for the skills that you think are most important. Get more if you want, just to have the satisfaction of knowing that you're recognized for having those skills, but that's probably all you need on that.
Okay, thanks for clarifying, just because there's a lot of talk about, the endorsements and what you should do. And obviously recommendations are always, recommended. You want to have at least 2 recent recommendations within the past year. So make sure you're having that as well. I think these are all great things to keep in mind as you're optimizing your LinkedIn profile. All right, any other questions? I think we don't have any, but everyone's saying thanks for the great presentation and information. And oh, I see a comment in here. FYI, to avoid copyright images in Google, make sure to filter by Creative Commons licenses. So that's another thing you guys need to keep in mind so that you aren't in a copyright situation. And certainly don't want to be sued over your LinkedIn banner picture. All right. If there aren't any other questions, we can end the call. I'll stop the recording, and then I'll give you guys a minute or two to save the chat by clicking on the 3 dots. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Next week, I'll have Kurt Vandemotter on with me on Tuesday, and hopefully you can join in on some other careerdfw.org events this upcoming week. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.